Okay, I want to apologize. This video is gonna be experimental in a sense. My editing style, at least, I want to change it a bit. I don't like the way that I do my stuff. I mean, probably not much is gonna change, but hopefully I could change it just a bit. Hold up, I'm actually kind of nervous for this one. The initial story goes like this. I sent a message early in the morning and I thought like he probably won't respond, so I might as well go to sleep. He did respond, like I think like an hour or two, and I didn't see the message. I was asleep because I had to take a final. And I remember when I pulled up to my school, I went to go take the final, and I was scrolling through TikTok at the time, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just check my messages, see if he actually did respond. He did respond. Thank you a lot. I really mean that. Thank you. I think you probably thought I was a girl named Ashlyn. I'm sorry. There's a whole story behind that, but that's besides the point. I'm sorry for disrupting you in your vacation. I truly apologize for that. But yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna get started on this because it is a long script for me to read. Damn. So, well, there is a diary entry from the first team that went into the extensions in 1985. This team was called the Alpha Team. So I'm gonna show y'all the video and I'm gonna read the diary parts, I guess. Entry point, Thompson's den. The transition felt like passing through an airlock. Vertigo took over. Most of us vomited. Measuring tools failed immediately. Distance, direction, depth became abstract. We turned to a manumetric. Thompson's den kilometers. Our new measurement. Distance gauged from the den using knotted ropes and steps counted humidity, damp carpets. The jetter scent of heated, dusted rooms blend eras 60s to 80s. Everything feels slightly off. Displaced structures, abstract spaces, twisted and turned, defying logic, rooms within rooms. We have set up a base camp. By our count, we're in 2 TDK. And yet it feels like days have passed. Is this man-made? The sheer vastness, what truly is the Thompson Extensions. Okay, now we're gonna enter into missing people again. Yay. I apologize for that. Well, meet Becky Jensen. 1983, she was a resident of Origin. All I gotta say was that she went missing. She was later found in the dig site. She was identified as the second victim of the hide-and-seek stalker. She was submerged in concrete. In 1987, her former boyfriend enters the extensions after he heard rumors from the Alpha expedition that in Miss Thompson's diary, she was obsessed with her for some reason. He enters and manages to get something or someone out of there. This escalates to a high-speed chase where, he ends up crashing. They managed to recover some stuff. Among those was a body. They thought it was a girl. So the staff members nicknamed it the Golem because, they thought, damn, she's burning in hell. Ain't no way she's alive. There's no pulse. There's no heartbeat. So first of all, the doll or the Golem had a voice box. It was Becky's voice. But something interesting did happen. She fucking disappeared, bro. Dr. Angela Castor, lead scientist of the Alpha team. All I gotta say is, y'all remember when I said, damn, Jenkins, you hella bad, I think in the first video? I lied. So somewhere around 1985, they go exploring and they go to a place called the Chronotopic Vault. It's in basic words a room with a shit ton of computers. And there, Angela and the team found a terminal with some stuff that Douglas Thompson's the dad wrote. And this leads us to this. Let me do my best Douglas expression real quickly. Every memory extracted, every shard I craft renders the void tapestry. We stand on the edge of barriers falter. Soon the realms will blur into one. Her whispers guide me. I'm but a conduit. So unfortunately, Angela decides to interact with it using some headphones. She passes out after she interacts with it, This leads to the team deciding, let's take her back to base camp. So they take her back to base camp. She regains consciousness an hour later, and she says that she feels like she's been in a void for days. So she gets home, and so like the other victims, she has her own little thing. When she's talking to her loved ones, she would become immobile and gaze off. For us normal people, it's just like a few seconds, and for her it felt like years. So this leads us to the other part. So quick little cut real quickly. I'm not gonna be doing female voices. Last time I voice gave out and I couldn't continue on. I apologize. You probably all got tired of hearing that. Not bad. Continuing on with Angela, she would talk to scientists like around her, like the people she communicated with, and she would recount like what she saw whenever she spaced out. Stellar evolutions, cosmic phenomenon, and eons of interstellar solitude. Her disorder was a vivid chronostasis disorder. It is in basic words her experiencing like, massive time spans. They could feel like years. For us, it feels like just seconds, So one day, okay, for a little context, right? I had like this whole skit planned out. I'm not gonna do it. So at this time, her demeanor had changed a lot, and she began to act like if eons had passed, even though that for them it was just months. It all culminated into one night where she approached her husband and said, "In Machak, Ali's eternal gaze, I'm ensnared, witness to eons by its mind, I'm bared." Then her husband, me, I'm joking, it was Jacob Capster. When our eyes locked that night, I saw more than her pain. It was intention. He continues by saying that the vast void she had experienced consumed us. My children became mere shadows, twisted, inhuman. They screech and keen like goblins now, haunted by remnants of their mother's curse. Despite of doctor's assurance, having seen the depths of the abyss, her eyes, I know there's no returning from it. For a little context, right? After that, girl just ran. Like, it was like late at night, and she just ran. Like, she ran out the house, and that was the last time they saw her, I think. Another thing that ended up happening was that it spread to other people. He was like one of the victims. Yeah. Dr. Marcus Bennett, Alpha Team 1985. So originally there was about 12 members, and in about 2 weeks, 4 of them, So this leads us to what I think is pretty interesting. So the Alpha Team suppressed information. What did they suppress? Well, around 1.5 kilometers, there is a sweet area Dr. Marcus states. What did they found? Well, they found Mr. Thompson's decayed body. This proceeds to psychologically fuck Marcus. He goes on to describe that the sight of Mr. Thompson's regal yet decayed feels like a mirror reflecting a future I'm destined to share. He continues with, "Last night I dreamt of an all-encompassing void. It wasn't yet emptiness, but a profound stillness that echoed the duality I now feel, alive yet suspended in the state of impending decay. Each day, I'm plagued by the same sensation, an unsettling blend of life and timeless stasis. I saw in Thompson's the boundary between existence and non-existence feels precisely thin." So after he came out of all of that, he thought he was dying. He thought he was decaying. This syndrome is called Cortis delusion, but it differs from that syndrome, so they give it a new name. I'm gonna put like all the things that he was feeling on the screen, y'all could see. How it differs from, the other one. They give it a new name. The new name was Thompson's Lethargorium. So what does he decide to do? Well, he's like, fuck it, I'm breaking into a funeral home. He died there, filling his body up with embalming fluid. So for this, you guys will need context. I mean, like context. What ends up happening is that, in basic words, in 6.7 kilometers, you'll find a part called the respiratory. This is a dumping ground of the house. It contains household objects and other things. But the police officers at the time that investigated that place thought to themselves, this could also resemble a cognitive dumping ground. So they heard noises like shit they didn't expect to hear. So the mayor thought, well, let's seal it in. And that's what she did. She sealed it in. This leads us to a quote that one of the police officers said. "It ain't people, but it ain't junk either." Now I'm gonna go on a bit of a side tangent because dots started to connect, I guess. In Becky's part, you all heard the golem or the doll. I think that's what he means, like it ain't people, but it ain't junk either. Cause you'll understand more in this next segment that's coming up. So yeah, meet Dr. Alice Mitchell. She was not native to Oregon, but she won Miss Oregon in 1966. She had a significant influence in the community, and so she dated Douglas Thompson, or Mr. Thompson, during her school days, but she focused on her studies more, and she eventually became a scientist. I think you all know where this is going. This leads her to the Alpha Team. She joined them, she was a part of it. And meet another character named Julian Roberts. Unfortunately, I didn't have a picture of him, so yeah. They both entered the sealed area of the repository, and weeks later, Alice resurfaced without Julian. And this is where it becomes interesting. I'm gonna show y'all 2 videos. Hope y'all enjoy them. Okay, that sounds zesty as fuck. Just enjoy the videos.
found someone. There's no pulse. He's not breathing, but he's still talking.
Wear a jacket. It's cold out.
This isn't right.
Trash.
Let's go. We should leave. Now. Move. Move.
Oh, Douglas. There you are.
Now, Alice was truly trapped in a wonderland. My bad for that bad joke. I'm sorry. But she came out with a condition called compagrass delusion. She perceived their loved ones as imposters. So when she came out, she wrote in her diary, October 21st, 1985. This is an expert, this is like part of her diary. I've lost it. God, the weight of my folly is crushing me. Julian and I, in a maddening curiosity, pried into the place best left sealed. Those haunting paintings at the repository were more than just art. They felt like wards, barriers against the unspeakable horrors, and we, like fools, tore them down. This is a picture of Douglas' father, by the way. She continues by saying, but the real torment, seeing those twisted versions of myself malformed and mockeries, of vocalizing my own voice, echoing phrases that skittered through my brain like spiders. And Douglas, no, not him really, but the thing wearing his visage, radiant and malevolence. Marcus has showed me his cadaver, claiming it to be Douglas. He was decaying in the Sarver's suite, but if that was true, then this monster. Every familiar face feels like a lie. Every touch, every whisper or word from my family feels alien. What if Douglas and his vengeful madness for high school rebuff murdered them, trapping their innocent souls in these horrific doppelgangers? Are their screams echoing silently behind those false smiles? My pageant days, those grueling trials of authenticity beckon me now, a sinister guide. The golems and the extensions, they didn't bleed, didn't wince in pain. A simple test might reveal the truth, but what if they fail at that? Then what? Okay, so there's a lot to unpack. So I'm gonna have to tie this back to Becky. I feel like the boyfriend, what he got was a version of Becky, because, when she was burned, she didn't really feel pain, and when they poked and prodded her, she didn't feel pain. When they checked for her pulse, nothing like that. And then her leaving explains that. So there's a golem somewhere out there. So this leads us to October 23rd. The cops pulled up after hearing a distress call from the residency. When they pulled up, they saw a truly horrific sight. Her husband and daughter were tied up, forced to watch their son die. What ended up happening was, she tried to find out if they were golems or not, so she administered the test. After poking the son's finger, he didn't bleed him. So then she did a gruesome beauty pageant, and basically the son got tortured to death and the family was forced to watch. Now, unfortunately, that wasn't the only thing that they saw. What they saw was the mom died too. Unfortunately, there was a shootout, I think. I don't know. But the mother died. So why didn't they bleed him? Well, it turns out that they were super gluing a airplane and some of that glue got into their hands. Truly a sad ending though. This leads us to her autopsy. Her body lacked a circulatory system and blood. Here is the pelvis of Mitchell. This is gonna sound crazy, but what if Alice never came out? Instead, it was the golem. Now we're nearing the end of the Alpha expeditions, sort of. I think it doesn't continue on until way later. Yeah. In 1985, October, Agent Brian Peterson, he was part of the U.S. Department of Defense. He was sent in a covert operation called Project Eclipse. His job was to get first-hand information on Alpha Team. Well, all this leads to his death in a motel, and I think Mayor Green had something to do with it, but that's besides the point. He wrote a manifesto, not a manifesto, more like the project itself, and he handed it over to the higher-ups. There was two versions of it. He handed a version that had less information than the one that we have. The other one the police had him in custody, as evidence, but one of them managed to take it out and then he leaked it. Okay, for a little context, I'm putting the pictures that correspond to the areas in the screen, so y'all could see what I'm talking about. So yeah, let's start. Introduction. The Thompson Extensions, codenamed Project Eclipse, has presented as an anomaly beneath the Thompson family residency in Oregon. A sudden appearance and unusual structured feature has warranted in-depth exploration and risk assessment. Number two, the stagnant void. To To conceptualize the Stygian void, one might think it's a spatial dimension of our universe as a fabric. A Stygian void appears to be a tier of a pocket within a fabric, a departure from the conventional spatial geometry we're familiar with. This dimension behaves differently, exhibiting properties of both fluid and solid, marked by its obsidian mercury-like reflective quality on a molecular level. It seems to be consisted of an exotic denso packed particles that defy our current understanding of the matter. It suggests that the void might operate under distant physical laws. Number 3, Project Eclipse and its expansion. The Thompson Extension or Project Eclipse represents an architectural anomaly expanding the Stygian void. Its series of interconnected chambers with decor reminiscent of the 1970s are bound by a drapes that acts like barriers or interfaces with the void. The concern was that the exponential expansion of these chambers seemingly unbounded into an American soil. However, this expansion appears to have stabilized recently. Number 4, Thompson trenches and void stability. Some chambers proximate to the so-called Thompson Extension trenches indicate that efforts were made to disrupt the manipulative Stygian void. These deep crevices emanate an unexplainable keening sound that seemingly profounds the void's stability. The terrestrial bedrock exposure and floating globus of the void material in these zones underscore this theory. Number 5. Risk and conclusion and recommendations. While the current assessment indicates that the Stygian code is effective in containing Project Eclipse spread, vigilance is crucial, and any alterations in the void's stability or the extension's parameter could have unforeseen ramifications. Recommendations include continuous monitoring of Project Eclipse, avoidance of any attempts to further manipulate or disrupt the Stygian void, limited human exposure and interaction within the Thompson extensions until potential risks are comprehensible and understood. Final note, the risk assessment, despite its comprehensive analysis, was never officially presented to the higher echelons of the United States government. Instead, the downplayed the anomalies of Project Eclipse was submitted, leading the termination of the investigation. The motives behind this obfuscation remain unclear. So last off, we left off on the mayors, more importantly, Regina Green. One thing that I did leave out was, that there were activists demanding, for her to be transparent about where the funds were going that were supposed to be going around projects around the city. Most of them went missing, and the ones that didn't, they recanted their demands. Truly a mischievous woman. Martha and Roger Ingram, they own a cafe called the T-Top Cafe and have lived in the town for decades. This is how they look like. Martha is known in the town for her famous pies, and Roger, he's the manager. He handles customer service and all that type of stuff. The cafe is named after Martha's granddad. When asked how come this place is so famous, they said they don't know. It became a creative hub, so they attribute it to the unique atmosphere that they have, the good vibes that they carry. By this point, y'all may be asking, how the hell does this link to the extensions? Well, it has to do with the artist. Now, the artistic people that come here to draw or write usually write something similar or draw something similar to the extensions. Now, Martha is a weird girl because she be lacing the fuck out of her dishes with a chemical known as O17X. But what does this chemical do? Well, I'm glad you asked. It accelerates DMT release from the pineal gland. Now, it is stated that there is a surge of power in the midnight to early morning hours. None really has been said about it though. A little side note, amongst the books, the stuff there's a lot to do with the I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I promise it won't happen again. Probably will, but but like I was saying before, that little jump scare, there is the notebooks and everything that they write has to do with the skew bombery in some sort of way. Now, one of the people there made a poem. I think I'm gonna recite it real quickly. In the shadow is deep, the Marie doesn't tread. Its skewed form, both fear and dread. Mind encased in inquinant gaze, yearning skies, yet earth defies. Bound to void, yet dreams to soar. Yearns to be what once it wore. Melt with self, release and chain. Astral dance no longer reign. Eyes aflame with memory haze. Yearning for those bygone days. Drawing to where it once did know. To merge and let the old self grow. Rooms expand but yet confined. Though your thoughts escape, you will find. Boom, no shit. Scare away for rap artists. Alright. Different person, different time. Meet Dr. Samuel Court, a dentist of Oregon. He had been a dentist for about 15 years before he vanished and was so suspicious that an extensive search led to his dental practice, and they said, damn, this shit is not normal. And a criminal investigation began. So what did Samuel do that was so bad Well, he encased larvae in fake teeth. They found this all in refrigerator units in the office. This larva is a new species named Dicroculium stygilius that is part of another larva family. Over a 6-month span, this was all going on. Now, in an encrypted notebook, it goes on to state how he did it all. The most unsettling part was how the larva could spread to the neural circuits, affecting someone's cognition and behavior.
Oh, but how does this come into play into the extensions?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Now, remember how Miss Thompson used to keen a lot? Well, the larva causes people to keen, just like her. Now, this leads us where they found the doctor. They found him in a motel. Now, Mayor Green came in and took everything. They found him in a contraption of his own making. Here's a pic of him. The parasites, well, they took over his body, and he had emanated a keening sound. He died in operation. Okay, so a little bit of a side tangent. This area is called the power system. And I'm guessing by this time, a lot of people begin to ask, what powers the extensions? So meet an engineer called Anthony Hill. He's a mechanical expert with over 20 years of experience. He named the area as STEN, which stands for Spatial Temporal Energy Nobes. So he continues on by stating something that looks like a steam age or a computer from the 1980s. Now, it turns out there was a lot of lights, a lot of buttons. They were just painted on and didn't do nothing. But yet the room gave out energy. Now, this comes into play. But Mr. Thompson used to watch a lot of movies, sci-fi movies that had similar things to this. I think that has to do with like the cognition, like of what people think, it would just appear. So now Anthony Hill spent time there, and well, in one of these many explorations, it took an awful turn. Something that he described as systematic fluctuation. He said that for moments the facade crumbled in the room, and he got a glimpse of what was truly there. He goes on by saying that the mechanical sound began to sound like a creature, that it wasn't alive but yet alive at the same time. After exploring, Anthony changed. He had awful dreams, and well, he began to work on something. He sketched out something that looked like a mechanical organism. Here are some of the pictures. Now meet someone new. He's the reason why we know so much about the Thompsons. According to him, he drifted apart due to how Mr. Thompson had a god complex about 3 years prior to their disappearance. Now this is his quote, this is what he said. He thought the world revolved around him and everyone else was just a background character in his story. That's how I imagine he sounds like. Now this leads us to one of the zones. In the extensions, around 8 kilometers, the Ecclelarchy Arch is a mid-century church called the Architecture. I cannot say that, I apologize. Entering this place, you're forced to hunch, like if you're bowing down. And sound echoes a lot in this place, so yeah. So in the windows depicts Mr. Thompson in a mosaic pose, flanked by his 2 daughters portrayed as cherubs, but there's no Miss Thompson. This goes to show how inflated his ego was. And it also goes to show how Miss Thompson and Mr. Thompson's relationship truly was. Parabolas of the hidden domain is the hidden text that people think that Mr. Thompson wrote, and this is what it says. Lo, I am chosen to shape the hidden domain. Bless my seed that revolt beside me. Cursed the stray seed shall wander lost. I am the architect, master of the veiled in paradise. Now, we get introduced to a section in the Thompson Extensions. This section is called the Green Garden. Around 10.9 kilometers, there's this place called the Auditorium, which is a complex labyrinth. So this place is meant to look like a gateway to a garden. Now, let me get into the bread and butter of this section. You see, in this section there are photos, and in these photos we see Mr. Thompson cheating on his wife, and we also see his obsession with the skew bombery. And once Miss Thompson realized what happened, she fucked the place up. Now Mr. Thompson has apparently a fetish for fucking girls with horse heads. Here's a pic of that. This is a quote from Mr. Thompson. Her beauty only eclipsed by the Marie. Interview with Judy Sanderson, a neighbor.
You know, we used to be real close, Mrs. Thompson and me. Our kiddos were thick as thieves, always raising some kind of ruckus. She'd come over for some chit-chat, and our conversations were just, you know, usual mom stuff. PTA, who's bringing what to the potluck, that kind of thing. But then one day, she starts showing off all these knickknacks. Weird stuff, I can't really put into words what they looked like trying to describe how Tillamook cheddar tastes to someone who's never had cheese. All you know is, it's different, you know. Susan, Mrs. Thompson, that is, was acting real queer about it, too. She starts telling me how she's got her dream kitchen now, a playroom for the kiddos, and even a new bathroom. But something ain't adding up. I've been to their house, didn't see no dream kitchen. Heck, I ain't seen a single contractor or any of that renovation jazz. Nothing. Only thing I noticed were those strange things. The kind of things you'd only see in the Lost to Poke antique shop, but way creepier. Then one fine day, she comes over looking like she's been through the ringer. We were sitting on my front porch just sipping our coffee. She goes, "Judy, it keeps growing." I'm thinking, what's growing, a tumor or something? But she just looked at me, eyes hollow as a burnt-out Douglas fir, and says, "If I sleep, it'll get bigger." Gosh, it was like she was living with some unsaid dread. Not your garden variety worry, but something much deeper, something you'd feel in your bones if you were lost out in the high desert, you know? After that, she changed, started keeping to herself, hardly ever came out of her house. It's like the friend I knew was gone, replaced by this shell. She was just gone, and what was left was this unsettling emptiness, like a crater left after a forest fire. Sometimes I wonder if I should have done something, if I could have, but what can you do when you don't even know what you're up against? All I know is my friend was consumed by something that defies all reason. The friend I knew? She was swallowed up by whatever was growing in that house, and the most terrifying part? I have no idea what it was.
A few things I want to address. Well, for one is that, damn, she old too. It wasn't always big, and does it continue expanding? Well, no time, because we got a second interview.
Well, my name's Jim. Used to be with the fire department here in Origin. Seen a lot in my days. Terrible accidents, house fires out of control, but nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepped me for that day in the 90s. Mayor Green was behind it all, spending our taxpayer money like it was water. Called it community development, but those of us in the know had our doubts. She rounded up a team of pros, each equipped with this shiny new piece of tech, called it the Perceptual Integrity Interface, or PII for short. It was supposed to protect their minds, shield them from disruptive wavelengths that come from some of those rooms in the extension. Keep things stable, they said. But Lord Almighty, once they stepped through that den of Mr. Thompson and into the extension, God, I can still see it, their faces. It was like they were trying to escape their own skulls, eyes retreating into their sockets, mouths twisting in ways mouths shouldn't twist. Most of them dropped right there, brain dead. Their faces were twisted in... except Carl. I was on the team that went in after them, seeing those guys on the floor, and Carl just whispering. His PII wasn't working right, so he got a peek, but not the full horror show. Here's what I think. The PII worked too well. It tore down whatever illusion the extension puts up. Those guys saw it for what it really is. And it's not rooms. It's alive. Bigger than anything we can wrap our heads around. Carl got just enough to mess him up, but not drop him outright. After that, man, I wasn't right. These, thoughts, they keep creeping in, like a nagging itch, urging me to see it for myself. Sometimes I wonder if I should take steps to ensure I never act on it, but then I realize there are other ways of seeing. In my dreams, I'm there, and it's calling to me. I could see it if I wanted to. That's what keeps me awake at night. That's what terrifies me.
Piekle. Widzę przestrzeń bez końca. Ucieczki nie ma miejsca. Jesteśmy w żywym piekle. Widzę przestrzeń bez końca. Ucieczki nie ma miejsca. Jesteśmy w żywym piekle.
We got to see some new tech that Ms. Green developed, and damn, now it got me questioning, what did they truly see that had them like that? So the last few Polish words are German. Well, I thought they were German. I went to my teacher, right, and I pulled up and I'm like, "Hey, miss, do you think you could translate this?" And she said, "I don't understand Polish. I only understand German." I'm like, "Oh, it's Polish?" And she's like, "Yeah, but no worries. Someone on TikTok actually translated this. His His name was Set Gantu. In hell, I see space without ending. There is no escape. We are in the living hell. Yeah. So anyways, let's go on to the third interview. Meet Joyce Williamson, a former music teacher of Sarah Thompson.
You know, I've been teaching music up at the local school for more years than I care to count. Heck, I've heard a lot of voices. Some heavenly, others, well, bless their hearts, they tried. But none unsettled me quite like Sarah Thompson. That girl had a voice like a bell at first. But over time, that bell started to clang, if you know what I mean. Got so she'd twist herself like a pretzel while she was singing, her body contorting into shapes no child ought to be able to make, screeching rather than singing. She looked at me one day, her eyes cold and yet burning with something I can't name, and said, "Miss Williams, the skewbald mare's going to conduct a choir, but we all got to be retuned first." I can't say I understood. Sounded like gibberish or the stuff of nightmares, but she said it with a conviction that made my bones chill. "That's when the void'll shatter," she whispered. Child's whispers shouldn't carry that much weight, but hers did. Reminds me of all that rubbish spouted by the harmonics cult. Don't get me started. As if Origin ain't got enough problems, they took over the radio, playing Freddie Mercer's tunes around the clock. That's Freddie Mercer, cousin to Alexander, who disappeared like smoke. It makes a woman wonder what's going on in our town. And yet Sarah, she looked like she knew. Not long before she and her family went missing, she gave me this sealed envelope, said it contained a drawing of that day, the day the void shatters. I've kept it locked in that drawer for years. Often my hand hovers over that handle. But something deep inside me screams, "Don't, Joyce, don't." Like opening it would make it all real. I've got this dreadful feeling, like worms in my gut, that we're already humming along in this skewbald mare's unholy chorus. And when we hit that terrible crescendo, God help us, I don't want to think about what comes next.
A harmonist cult? Freddie Mercer? Check out the first video so y'all can understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, but Freddie Mercer was like, you know, an artist and all that. But that had me questioning the day with where the void shatters. What does that mean? You know, here are some other drawings because, you know, the other girl didn't really open them, but other people did get the same drawings. Here they are. We're slowly getting there. Damn. So there's this another interview, and basic words, it has to do with the scuba Marie. Here it is.
You want to know how I got that footage? Man, it's messed up. My buddy Tom's mom, she was part of some team investigating the Thompson house. You know the Thompsons, right? The family that vanished back in '85? Anyways, she was all into that extension stuff, and she died not long after they put up those cameras. Heart attack, they said. Freaking heart attack. After she passed, Tom found all this camera gear and stacks of DV tapes in the attic. He didn't want to touch them. Said they gave him the creeps. He knew I was into film, so he passed them to me. Said maybe I could use them for class or whatever. Huge mistake. There's this one tape, man. It's burned into my head. It's dark, like hella dark, pointing right at the door leading into Mr. Thompson's den. Then the footage just, I don't know, wigs out, gets all blurry and stuff. When it snaps back, there's like, look, it ain't a face you'd recognize, you know? It's like, not human but not totally animal either. Like some messed up halfway thing. That thing wasn't just looking at the camera, it felt like it was looking right through the screen directly at me. Staring into my soul, man. Like it was tagging me or something. Marking me. That little voice in your head that's all about, yo, be safe, man. Mine was going off like, turn it off, dude. Walk away. But nah, couldn't do it. Had to make the pic clearer, right? Use some fancy tech stuff to clean it up. Zoom in. That's when it hit me, man. I didn't find this thing. This freaking thing found me. Dude, I regret it, okay? I regret digging where I shouldn't have. Now I feel like it's always there, just around the corner, always out of sight, but never out of my mind. It's got me, but maybe Maybe if someone else sees it, it'll switch focus or something. I can't hang on to this messed up secret alone, you get me? So, it's on you now. But once you're looking into that freaking darkness, man, that darkness is looking right back. Trust me, it don't like to be pushed aside. So just be real careful, man. 'Cause some stuff, once you find it, you can't ever shake it. And it'll never, ever let you forget it's there.
Truly horrifying. We see the skew ball again and shit. Well, let's move on to the next video. The Marie's first groom.
Jack Haversham. Man, where do I even begin? I met him back in high school. He was one of those prodigies, you know? Always the brightest bulb in the room. But he was an odd one, too. He had this thing for Susan. Asked her out a few times, but she was always so engrossed in her art, her books. He was just a blip on her radar, I guess. You could tell it really got to him. After that, he went down a pretty dark path. Started messing around with all sorts of mind-bending stuff like DMT and magic mushrooms. But it wasn't just any mushroom that had Jack's attention. It was this local species, grew only around here in Oregon, around that gray lump thing they built the Thompson's house on top of. Black Umbra, they called it. The stuff of local legends said to drive men mad. Jack was fascinated by it. So, he goes to college. Not just any college, but a high-tier one, majoring in chemistry. Turns his whole life around like it's some sort of magic trick. Becomes a chemist and starts studying the very substances he used to abuse. That's where he synthesized it, O17X, from that black umbra mushroom. He was onto something he wouldn't share, as if he'd discovered the secret to the universe but decided it wasn't for mere mortals like us. Fast forward to 82, and he tries to take out Douglas Thompson. Can you believe it? Cops said he had a weapon and everything, ready to do the deed in Thompson's office.
Douglas, how you float through life, blind to your own staggering luck. How many times have you looked in the mirror and seen a king when all you are is a pawn? A house, a family, Susan. My Susan. She should have been mine. And now the mayor! That ethereal goddess that I, not you, brought into this realm. Why her affections for you? Why not me? Why do you always get everything? Everything I desire. Everything I work for, you sit there in mediocrity while the world delivers its gifts to your undeserving lap. You think you're so special. You're a placeholder, a fill-in for something far grander, far more spectacular than you could ever be. Your dreams, a joke, a mockery. They couldn't fuel a candle, let alone the mayor's magnificence. Susan, she is the beacon, the celestial umbilical cord reaching into the heavens. Her art, her unending passion, something you never even recognized, is the key. And you're what? A bloated bag of insipid dreams. You're not fit to be her husband, her partner in this cosmic dance. It should be me. It will be me. Once you're out of this picture, the mayor will see my dreams for what they are. Vibrant, consuming, potent. O17X will magnify them, and she will see that it's me who's worthy. And Susan, beautiful Susan will finally see the truth too. Silent. Still. Do you think your silence will save you? Do you? Say something! Beg! Grovel! Can't you see the gravity of this moment? Since you'll be in the abyss soon, carry this thought into oblivion. When the mare takes her rightful place, when the world bends to her majesty, know that it was me, Jack Caversham, who unchained her from her cosmic prison, who recognized her true potential. FBI, open up!
Jealousy. That's what they chalked it up to. Thompson had Susan, the woman Jack had always pined for. The oldest story in the book, except with Jack. Nothing was ever that simple. It was after the family disappeared in '85 that things got even weirder. Cops started looking into Jack again, found out he'd been supplying Thompson with that O17X stuff. But here's the kicker. Turns out, he wasn't just messing with Thompson. He was switching out Susan's medication too. Why? God knows. Was he a man pushed to the edge by love, spurned and anguished? Or was he something far more calculating? A brilliant mind working on an equation only he could see?
Damn, he tried to kill Mr. Thompson and shit. Damn. It reminds me of the dude who grew a big dome, and well, yeah, I don't know. It just reminds me of that, and yeah. Okay, just some quick thoughts before I move on. Clearly, the Marine thinks that Mr. Thompson is worthy of something, and it got me questioning, what is he worthy of? So yeah, let's take a break, you know?
Ah, you ventured this way to listen to me rattle on about Origin? Well, isn't that a hoot and a holler? I'm Nellie Sanderson, sister to Judy. You know, the one who lived a stone's throw away from the Thompsons. Ah, she's been gabbing to reporters too, has she? Well, color me unsurprised. You see, we Sanderson sisters are a study in contrast, like the duality of Oregon itself. Urban sophistication meets rugged wilderness. She considers me nuttier than a squirrel stashing acorns. But honestly, it's her I fret about. She spent years living smack dab where that gray lump used to be. Makes me as nervous as a cat on a hot tin roof in wildfire season. But enough of that sibling soap opera. You're here to chew the fat about Origin, aren't you? You don't strike me as some umbrella-totin', latte-sippin' city slicker just speeding down the I-5. Nah, you're different. Most folks here are satisfied with their Saturday market trips, Oregon Ducks games, and T-top donuts. But you, sugar, you've got the fire of a coastal sunset in your eyes. Let's step back to yesteryears. Early 1800s, Origin was nothing but a sprinkle of farmland. Folks were as close-knit as moss on a damp log. Skip forward to the late 1800s, early 1900s. Our humble trading posts matured into buzzing community centers, and Origin became a place worth marking on a map. But underneath the daily hubbub, stories flowed like the mighty Columbia River. Ancient whispers from native tribes warning us, respect the land, walk gently. We gave a listen, but couldn't fully grasp it. Still, we dared not mock what we didn't understand, especially when it came to the gray lump. You might be wondering what's so special about a lump. Many venture to guess that it was a fossilized testament to an ancient arboreal giant, perhaps a protector of these sacred woods. Even our local skeptics felt an irresistible pull, a strange gravity near it. But progress? She's a tenacious beast with little patience for legends. Modernity was rolling in, eyes full of dollar signs. When the post-war 40s and 50s rolled around, Origin expanded faster than the lines at Powell's on a rainy Sunday. Developers sniffed out opportunities like they'd found the last Black Butte Porter at a BBQ. The top dog, Mr. Thompson of the famed Thompson Logging, whose dreams were grander than the Columbia Gorge. He won the bid to develop the Gray Lump site, and faster than you can say Sasquatch, That enigmatic mass was carted away for scientific scrutiny. Then houses sprang up as plentiful as blackberries in August. And right in the midst, the Thompson house, its foundations planted where the gray lump once stood guard. The Thompson family? 7 years they lived there, as peaceful as a Siletz River morning, then gone like footprints on Cannon Beach. And as for the Thompson Extension, well, honey, that's a tale as twisty as the roads to Mount Hood. Ah, that gleam in your eye tells me you're itching for more tales. But remember, curiosity is a double-edged sword. It's led many a cat into peril. So ask your questions, but tread carefully. While I'm happy to shed light on Origin's mysteries, I won't give away all our secrets at once. Dive too deep too quickly and you might find it hard to resurface. What's your burning question, Seeker? Choose wisely, for answers here often lead to even deeper enigmas.
Okay, that's enough of a break. We're gonna go into the Loint Creek Visitor. Well, let's start off with this, right? This takes place near the extensions. After the events took place, you know, where everybody, like, I think I'm probably starting off a bit off, you know. It would all make sense, like, if you continue watching the video, I guess. Just so y'all know, people got evacuated, and, well, it's sort of like that area sort of became like a nursing home. And, yeah. So, meet Angela Harper. I don't know why, but I got reminded of Harper. I don't know if there's like one in the first video. I apologize again. But meet Harper. Well, when patients are about to die, they tend to see a figure. What is this figure, you may ask? Well, they described it as an angelic figure, and Angela decided to capture it on camera, and she did. Then she had a brain aneurysm and just died. Sadly. This is a picture she took. Meet Sharon. 1999. She disappeared in the forest. She was with her boyfriend at the time. After a 3-day search, they found her 6 miles away where she last was. She was found in a cabin, more specifically in the basement. She was found head first, narrow, in a hole of the floor, you know, kind of like if she was trying to escape from something. The parabola of the hidden domain, birthday party and shit. In Origin, where the name and fate intertwine, the silence of average was surrounded. The stand asked but the third cry among the ordinary 7. With each break, tremors pulsed through the stagnant depths. Here, ageless presence felt like back and forth by the whispers of an ancient guardian. From the kaleidoscope expanse but bound by them within a dark prison, stirs in anticipation of a new reborn world. So what did you just see? Well, in October 31st, 1995, which is Halloween, there was an accident. Apparently one of the mascots in the horse, you know, in the horse attire attacked people. A lot of people died. This all took place in the Heveridge area, which now remains vacant. Everyone in that area was evacuated. Damn, so now we reached the end of the video, kind of debating whether I should put in what, you know, he said, but I think I'm gonna hold off on it for a bit till I get, like, you know, till when I deem necessary for me to put in that context that he said. He was nice enough to help me out. I like I said, I highly recommend y'all go check out his stuff. I will link everything that I can below. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna try to finish this up in 4 parts, hopefully. My main point is to hopefully eventually get to finish it and then like do a remastered version of it, because I feel like I'm not doing it justice or the justice that it deserves, you know. Hopefully my big plan is that I could do a timeline of events so it could all make sense in like timeline. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.